Hi, and welcome to the Adobe Video Community Meetup live stream for August 2021. I'm Durin Gleaves, Product Manager for Adobe Audio, and I'm really excited about our topic and our guests for today. The theme this month is podcasts for all the platforms. But what does that mean? Well, as soon as you'll see in a video we share in a couple minutes, podcasts are far more than just an MP3 file these days. Video and animation is becoming more important and critical than ever for capturing interest and growing your audience. And we'll chat with some of my Adobe colleagues who are helping build the content and the technologies that let creators bridge that gap. And then later, we'll chat with two of my favorite people on YouTube and in real life about their own experiences mixing podcasts, radio, and video together into something absolutely wonderful. I'm also excited to mention that this is a two-parter experience this month. We have so much to talk about. We're going to have another live stream on Friday that's focused on the audio end of podcasting for all the platforms. And I'll give some additional details near the end of the call or presentation for that. But before we meet everyone, please watch this hastily produced, zero budget video I put together for y'all. Hey, let's talk about your podcast. I know. Everyone loves to talk about their podcast. But listen, you went through all that work finding guests, recording everybody remotely, juggling MP3 and WAV files across the internet, editing, mixing, and publishing your podcast into the best sounding MP3 that technology can create. And now, where are the listeners? There are plenty of blogs, books, videos, and services that can help you grow your audience in myriad ways. But one of the best methods to help people discover your podcast is to make it available where people are. And it turns out that some of the biggest platforms for podcast discoverability and consumption aren't even podcasting services at all. Futuri Media reported that 70% of monthly podcast listeners found their podcasts on YouTube. At Podcast Movement 2021, Tom Webster of Edison Research reported that the best platform for reaching new listeners just might be Facebook. And notably, both Facebook and YouTube only support uploading video content. No audio-only MP3s allowed. So how can you videoize your podcast? You could just drop your thumbnail art as a static image and export a quick video. That's easy. But you probably want to stand out and get noticed amongst all the other content that's jockeying for your audience's attention. And with Adobe Creative Cloud, we're here to help you get noticed. Starting with simple tools like Adobe Spark, you can use templates to create a wide range of static images for your podcast, all adhering to your brand and visual style. Create one for each guest or topic of discussion on your podcast, and then you can assemble them in Premiere Pro or Premiere Rush for a dynamic slideshow-style visual stream. Hey, you're all quite beautiful. I've never heard anyone use the expression, "they have a face made for podcasting," about any of my viewers. But even the most gorgeous among us don't want to be on camera all the time. Why not use Adobe Character Animator to build cartoons around your podcast? You can use existing puppets or create your own virtual avatars in Photoshop or Illustrator, then easily lip sync based on your existing audio tracks imported from Adobe Audition. Use your webcam for animating expressions and head or hand movement without changing out of your sweatpants. Character Animator don't care. For the most ambitious among you, consider combining all of these different elements, images from Adobe Spark, video loops from Adobe Stock, motion graphic templates that can create beautiful, complex-looking animations using only a few simple parameters, and captions generated by the new speech-to-text feature just released in Adobe Premiere Pro to create rich, dynamic video podcasts that are more than just the sum of their parts. My guests from what would be inside the hallowed walls of Adobe HQ, but are from our respective offices and bedrooms during this pandemic, this month are Erica Schisler and Theresa Rostek. Erica is the Senior Product Manager for Character Animator, but has previously worked on After Effects, Adobe Story, and several other products and projects throughout the years. Erica loves all kinds of animation. In her free time, you'll probably find her working on her own experimental animation projects, printmaking, or drawing. And Theresa is the Senior Production Associate for Motion Graphics Templates. I think I got that right, on Adobe Stock. and calls herself a Mogert's nerd, Mogert's being motion graphic templates. We'll go into what that means in a little bit. But Theresa loves teaching the artist communities and finding innovative solutions to really make creative workflows faster, which benefits all of us. In her free time, you'll probably find her playing video games or putting her artistic skills to the test in Illustrator. So if there's some fabulous Fortnite character that's kicking your backside, it's a good chance that maybe it's Theresa. Thank you both for joining. Eric, I'm going to start with you. So what's your Adobe story? How did you find your way here to this video stream today, and what was the journey like?
Wow. Well, my Adobe story, I feel like kind of gives away my age, but about 25 years ago, I happened upon a company called Audition, and they were looking for somebody to help with multimedia. I don't think they knew what that meant or anyone knew what that meant, but I was happy to help in whatever way I could. And while I was working at Audition, they acquired COSA, who became a division of Audition, and those were the makers of After Effects. So during my time at Adobe, I worked on After Effects for about 10 years. I did lots of different things on After Effects, from sales to marketing to product management. Ultimately, though, I switched gears and helped start Adobe Story, which was Adobe's screenwriting tool. I did a lot of other things, but at about year 19, I left, as some people do at Adobe. As much as we all adore Adobe, I left. And part of leaving was because I so desperately wanted to use our tools to make things, and had the great opportunity to make a documentary about my hometown, Spokane, Washington. So I made Spokanearchy, which is about some new wave and punk rock kids growing up in Spokane in the 80s. And it was great because I used Premiere to edit it. We used After Effects for all the animation and motion graphics. It was a wonderful experience. But then about 4 years ago, I came back to work on Character Animator, and I'm thrilled to be on that team.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I remember, I think it was 1993. I was a freshman in college, and I was in the first year of this program for multimedia design. And Aldous was one of the companies we were working with out in Bellevue.
Yeah.
Theresa, what about you? What brought you to Adobe, and what's your day-to-day like these days?
What brought me to Adobe was I saw this really cool job ad that was like an encapsulation of all these things I did. So up until then, I've been working as a motion graphics artist, a graphic designer, social media, and the position was a little cagey because, it was about Mogerts, and Mogerts were brand new 4 years ago. So I was really interested. I knew someone who was working here on the templates team at Adobe Stock. And I was like, this sounds like what you do, but for After Effects. Is that so? And so after inquiring about it, I was like, I really want to come work for Adobe. This sounds amazing. Being able to work with the artist community from all over the world, to produce motion graphics templates to put onto Adobe Stock, and I've learned so much about After Effects and Premiere, and met so many cool people. So my story for Adobe is much shorter. I've been here for 4 years, but I've been here for almost the entirety of the lifespan of motion graphics templates, and I absolutely love them.
That's awesome. We're going to go into details on, again, what these motion graphic templates are in a minute. But I want to kind of bridge that by kind of asking, how does any of this relate to podcasting, right? Podcast is earbuds now, or, headphones and an MP3 file, right? As we discussed, though, video for podcasts is really taking podcasting onto new platforms, finding new audiences. And really, at this point, it's now about getting beyond static web camera filming the table as everybody talks, or just having a close-up of a talking head. There's slideshows, audiograms, promotional videos on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. People are animating the participants. They're building accessible subtitles, but also amazing kinetic type and bringing in video loops. Just to really add something different or to emphasize the content that's in the audio. And one of my favorites is obviously Character Animator. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a bit of a geek. And so cartoons are right there at the top of my list. So Erica, what is Character Animator?
So Character Animator, as the name says, is a software tool for making character animation, but it's been made super easy so that you can use your webcam and microphone to basically power your character, and you can do it all in real time, which means you can work in real time, but also you could stream it in real time if you want to as well. And it has lots of different kinds of tools, but I think the main important ones to think about if you're just getting started in animation is that it does automatic lip sync. And this is the thing that usually trips us up when we get started in animations. How am I going to do that lip sync? But it's all automatic. What you do need, though, is a set of mouth shapes. So Character Animator has sort of a minimum suggested of 11 mouth shapes. You would create those in Photoshop or Illustrator. And then there's 3 others for a neutral or a smile, etc. But you can also just use template puppets. The product comes with a bunch of template puppets in the home screen. So you don't even have to create your own. You could just use a template puppet, or you can go to one of the many websites that has lots of free, including our own website that has free puppets, or OK Samurai. And it wouldn't be complete if I didn't mention OK Samurai. If you're getting started in Character Animator, the very best place to get tutorials is from OK Samurai. Just go to YouTube, OK Samurai. He is Dave Warner. He's the UI designer for Character Animator. And this is where you're going to learn everything you need to learn about Character Animator.
Something I really liked about Character Animator. Now I'm a paint design and illustration nerd, so I'm happy to go make my stuff in Photoshop or Illustrator. But I also enjoy, goofing around. And one of the things I like about Character Animator is how easy it was to take a still photo and animate that with Nutcracker Jaw or anything like that. Are there more ideas around making it easier rather than using a stock puppet from a site? Or is there anything that's going to help us create things that are more unique and distinct for our niche or our genre or our style?
Yeah, I have a couple of ideas. Well, first, let's talk about Nutcracker Jaw for a second. What Durin's referring to is this really simple way to just move the bottom jaw. So you don't have to have all those mouth shapes. You could have this simple image with a layer that's the bottom jaw, and then use the automatic lip sync, and it'll just go up and down. So that's a quick way to get an animated character going really fast. But one of the easiest things you can do in Character Animator, let's say you created your own puppet, or you used one of the template puppets, you're just going to bring your audio in, and you're going to do compute lip sync. And through compute lip sync, within seconds, or depending on how long this audio is, you're going to have a character that's got automatic lip sync. But then you could also use compute head movement from speech. And from this, you'll get some really basic head movements so that your character comes to life a little bit more. You do just those 2 things. Now you've got an animated character, and you did it in a couple of minutes. That's pretty simple and easy. Or you can try Nutcracker Jaw. But there's another thing I thought of that I've really enjoyed. Remember I talked about all those mouse shapes that you need. Now imagine, instead of creating mouse shapes, you just created different colors, different shapes, odd shapes, things like that to use as mouse shapes. And what would essentially happen is that while people are talking, just different shapes would appear. This would also be another quick and easy way to animate things. There's one other idea I have on our resources page where you can get some free resources. And I think they're posting all of this for you. There's something called the Mouth Pack. But there's also, on the puppets page, a clay mouth set. You could just have animated mouths talking, right? That's another idea that could look really fun. The clay mouse set would be fun. And by the way, you can take a mouse set from any puppet of the free puppets. You could just take their mouse set and use it in any way that you want. So those, I think, are some fun ideas to get started quickly and easily and have an interesting animation. There's also backgrounds. Like there's free backgrounds, and you can just add a background to it as well.
Yeah, I like the fact that there's a lot of templatized modules you can just bring in. You can pick and choose and kind of build your own. Maybe template that leads to a good question for Theresa. What the heck are motion graphic templates?
The easiest way to explain what motion graphics templates are is just a pre-built motion design. So pre-built animation, whether that's text, is it a background? Does it have an easy drop zone? This is media replacement, where you can just easily drag and drop your like your logo, a photo, a video, your Premiere Pro sequence, right into this pre-built, animation. So it's great for people who don't are a little hesitant to use After Effects. Maybe they're scared of it, or maybe they have no inclination to do anything with animation. It's the work is done for you. You change out your text, you change out the colors, and you're ready to export that and have really professional graphics in 10 minutes or less.
I like 10 minutes or less.
Yes. And one of the cool things, Character Animator has dynamic link to Premiere. So you could do your character and then you could go over and do your Mogurt as well, like really quick and easy.
Right. And you can go back and forth, you can iterate on these designs. It's always something I like, is that interoperability and connectedness between all the different applications. So I can bring backgrounds in from Mogurts. I can have free puppets in the front. I don't have to do my acting in front of the webcam. I can use, automatic computed head movements. What about some of the other things? Like, here we are on this live stream. We're in this great 3x3 or 1x3 windows with our captions below. I know that Mogurts has some layouts like that, where if you're creating you did record each of your guests, you can bring them into that kind of broadcast style or live stream style pretty easily. What about things like the captions or the our titles below us, the lower thirds, or as those are called in the industry? The Mogurt store has a lot of those available, right? Through Adobe Stock, right?
Right. So Adobe Stock has motion graphics templates. It's built right into Premiere Pro. So if you're going to the Essential Graphics panel, which is where you're going to be working on motion graphics templates anyway, so there's an Adobe Stock tab. You click that, and then you could just search for anything you want. What you see by default is a curated collection. It changes pretty often, but we have almost 7,000, I want to say, templates at this point on stock, and 700 of those are free. So if you don't have the budget, you can still have that high production value with these Adobe, we review all of these, we're putting our stamp saying, like, these are awesome. We love these. We work with these artists and we make sure that they work. And you can get 700 of those for free and put those in your videos and look professional in minutes.
And for those who are extremely budget conscious but have ample time and skill, you can make your own, right? You can build your own motion graphic templates that get shared.
Yeah, you can build your own motion graphics templates. And I also want to explain that there's two different types of motion graphics templates. There's ones built in After Effects. Those are obviously going to be your flashier, the ones with media replacement, and then you also have the ones that are built in Premiere Pro, which are a little they're less they're easier to use, but they're less polished in electric effects.
Definitely easier to build myself.
Much easier to build. And the great thing about motion graphics templates is that, if it's an After Effects made Mogurt, you can open that up in After Effects and you can dig in. You can use it to see what's going on. You can use it to customize. So that's one, avenue you have. Same thing with the Premiere Pro, Premiere Rush templates. You can open those up in Premiere Pro and kind of tweak them, or just use them as building blocks to learn from, which is really powerful.
Fantastic.
Hey, Durin, there's a couple of questions about Character Animator and what kind of audio you can use for that compute head movement from speech. And your WAV files or AF files will work great. That should be fine. And somebody else mentioned that Character Animator sounds a little bit like Mr. Potato Head for animation. I was like, yeah, I like that. I think that's good. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I've certainly just exported my stems directly out from Audition and then brought them into Character Animator. And it's like literally 2 clicks to have the mouth, all the lip sync computed, and another 2 clicks to have the head movements. It's so fast and easy. We just have one more minute. Do you guys have any recommendations where new creators or people who are new to Mogurts and Character Animator might go for some inspiration, tutorials, any of your favorite sites for that kind of thing?
You want to go first, Theresa, or you want
I'll
me
go
to go
first.
Okay.
I mean, YouTube generally is a great place to just find, any of the Adobe Video. Like, this channel has some great Mogurts creators. You can also Premiere Gal, Valentina V, Eric Abrams. We've worked with so many cool people. So yeah, I would say YouTube is a great place to start.
Yeah, I was going to chime in and say YouTube as well, but I love Instagram and hashtag character animator. Follow that. You'll see so many great animators and what they're doing. Definitely follow OK Samurai. He's got a community spotlight, and that's always inspirational to see what all these different people are doing. But sort of separate, just from specifically character animator, one of the things I follow that I find the most inspiration from is a group called Panimation. And you can follow them on Instagram. And one of the things I love about it is every week they turn over their channel essentially to an animator, and you get to see all of their amazing work. Every single day there's something new, and I get up pretty much every day and look there for sort of just to be excited and see what people are doing. So I highly recommend that.
Thanks. That's awesome. Those should be in the chats pods. If not, we'll make sure the links get shared out. But our next guests are a wife and husband team from the Isle of Wight in the fabulous United Kingdom. Izabela Russell is Managing Director of Music Radio Creative, which helps over 4,000 clients in more than 175 countries each year achieve great sounding audio. Izabela manages a busy team of more than 150 voice actors, producers, singers, musicians, and customer service agents, and her work centers around creatives and conveying the right message for their audience. She's been podcasting since about 2014 regarding podcasting, audio branding, audio production, and the audio industry itself. And to her, well, to my left, I don't know if this will be flipped for the broadcast, but is Mike Russell, the creative director for Music Radio Creative. And he's been living the audio dream since he was 13. His past workplaces have included radio and TV stations, government agencies, among plenty of others. Podcasting and audio production is quite literally his life. He's passionate about helping everybody sound great through weekly live streams, regular video tutorials on his YouTube channel about producing podcasts, cleaning up audio, improving the sound of your voice, creating music, sound design, and so much more. Literally hundreds and hundreds of videos. I can't recommend them enough. But before I let you meet them, please enjoy this behind-the-scenes video of what goes on in their studios.
Hello, I'm Mike Russell.
And I'm Izabela Russell. Together we run an audio production company, Music Radio Creative, where we help over 4,000 clients annually in 175 different countries with great sounding audio.
We make jingles, ads, creative audio, and we help podcasters, DJs, businesses, and radio stations to sound great and with their post-editing.
My jingle brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
I can teach you, but I have to charge.
We have a team of over 150 voiceover artists, musicians, singers, customer care staff who essentially help us make all the audio magic happen.
We've always been passionate about helping people to sound great and have access to affordable audio, and that is exactly how our live stream Free Jingle Friday was born.
Every Friday at 1 p.m. UK time, we have 2 hours of audio fun. We record over 100 jingles for free live on the show.
We talk audio, discuss how to fix issues, make special effects, review audio gear, and just anything audio related.
We have plenty of fun along the way.
MusicRadioCreative.com.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
See you.
Mike, I think we need to start a rap group. We'll talk afterwards.
Definitely, yeah.
Hey, so you guys are both so prolific in the video space these days. I imagine there's a lot of people who already know you from your YouTube channels and your live streams, and didn't realize that your strong background is actually in audio. Maybe you guys, how have you seen podcasting grow, and how has that line changed between podcasting as an audio only endeavor into really being a full multimedia extravaganza?
It's actually really interesting because we've watched it kind of all along the way. So yeah, we've watched this from the very, very start, and it sort of started off with just people experimenting with audio, and it was like, oh, there's this podcasting thing. Let's just, it was so safe because you could just do audio, nobody can see you. There were a lot of people just talking behind the microphone, and it kind of evolved to something a little bit more as as the time progressed. People were like, well, actually, you could just make some money out of it. So like a lot more people jumped board of podcasting. And then just around the same time, like the whole thing with Instagram exploded with the Instagram stories, with Facebook Lives and things like that. And all of that started to merge into the world of podcasting. So people started to experiment with video. And I think that now we're seeing that point where actually YouTubers and podcasters are kind of slowly becoming one, because somebody who is a YouTuber is very likely also doing a podcast and the other way around. So it's just sort of started. I don't know whether people
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're seeing a lot of serious podcasts where they're investing thousands or tens of thousands of dollars into getting the right equipment to make a good looking video podcast that can then become audio as well. And of course, the better the set, the better the microphone, the better everything in the recording environment, I guess the better quality of guests you can attract, and of course the better content you can produce for your audience too.
Yeah, it's I agree. I mean, we all met in person for the first time back at an event you guys produced, New Media Europe, in 2015. And even though podcasting was at that point around 15 years old, it still felt like a real Wild West sort of anarchy environment with infinite opportunity to find an audience. But it feels like now with so many large corporations making major investments and so many big names creating content, smaller creators can kind of feel like they're getting lost. How do you see individuals or even smaller niche podcasters really able to get an edge and grow an audience?
It's really tough. It's a tough space, and I'm glad that you've mentioned the sort of the corporate world becoming very much dominant in the podcasting world. When we started our events back in 2014, this was a very much sort of a world of individuals, and podcasting was very much about, what do I have to say? And, it's all about my experience and my passion. And then slowly it shifted into that corporate environment where it's like, oh, actually, it's a great way to perhaps introduce people to my business, something that I sell, and so on. And I think that there is definitely, it's harder now for individuals to get through, because there's a lot more noise, just the same way as there is in other media. But I think that it's still possible to get through. It's just you need to be a little bit more innovative in the ways you are sort of going out there.
Definitely, and paying attention to the trending platforms. So obviously, Spotify kind of did a swap with Apple Podcasts as the first place for discovery, and then even more so, YouTube being a great discovery platform. And as you mentioned in your great intro, Durin, Facebook is actually somewhere you should be looking at. And of course, you can't really upload audio to Facebook, so that's where you start creating in Premiere or Character Animator, and you start creating something that will work with the audio, if you're audio first, of course.
Yeah, that was something that really stood out to me in that talk by the Edison Research discussion at Podcast Movement, was that Facebook happens to be the platform with the least awareness and consumption of podcasts among its users. And my knee-jerk reaction would be, well, that's they're not the audience for what we're these are great. But that wasn't the case. That what the point he was making was that no, this is the best place because they don't have any past experience and biases. They don't have a playlist that they currently can't keep up with. They're fresh meat, sort of, for your podcast audience. That's exciting. You mentioned to me before that you started using Mogerts you've been using Mogerts in your productions right now. Tell me more about what you're using and how you go about that process.
Yeah, I love it. Well, as you mentioned, Durin, at the start, I'm a YouTuber. I'm creating a lot of videos. I'm editing a lot of them myself. And it just makes my work process so much easier because while I dabble in After Effects, I definitely dabble in After Effects. And when I can drag and drop something in Premiere Pro and then click and change some text and change the colors, it's brilliant for me. And I'm sure a lot of other creators, just to, like, as you said, put the lower thirds up, often mentioning links or something like that, or any person that's appearing on the video as a lower third, intros, bits like that. And I think the possibilities are really limitless. So I want to see the first Mogert that's going to do like an animated waveform to your podcast. That hopefully will be something that could happen.
And I just wanted to say that I'm really excited to look into possibility of getting a kind of like a motion graphic character for us developed. I think that that's just so brilliant, especially if you are podcasting, or if you have a YouTube channel and want something that is so unique to you. I think that that's just the way to do it. So I think that we will be investigating that further for sure.
I will definitely be following up with you, because I got so excited. This whole idea that you do 100 jingles every Friday, I was like, oh my God, we have to take some of those and animate them. That's going to be really fun.
I would just like to see the entire Free Jingle Friday stream animated live.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Let's do it. Let's find a way to do it.
Yeah, that's it. We are in.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
I could be sorry I said that. Oh no, it's being recorded.
I think Mike touched on something, though, that's a big hurdle for a lot of new creators who are moving from one discipline to another, is that idea that you need to create everything from scratch. And what we're trying to say is, what you're saying is, no, you don't. You can still have creative control even over something that seems very simplistic and templatized, so that you can match your identity, your brand, your style. I think that's really, really important and really exciting.
A customer that's doing something really interesting is some animators in the UK, Digital Puppets. They're working with Global Radio, Radio X, for the Johnny Vaughan show. And what they wanted to do was, they have a radio show. It's the Johnny Vaughan show. I don't know who Johnny Vaughan is, but I think a lot of other people do, because he's got like millions of followers.
Well.
Yeah. And but they wanted to take part of his show and animate it, not the whole thing, but like sort of the best bits, maybe 15 minutes, and they wanted to do it every week, and they wanted to try and turn it around within 24 hours of the radio show. And so Digital Puppets started creating the characters for them, but a really nice approach that they took was that they could start slow and simple. They could have a basic puppet, and then every week they could maybe add something new, maybe a new eyebrow expression, or a new trigger or hand movement, or some new prop. They didn't have to have everything day one. They could build it over time. And I think that's the beauty of using puppets and being able to reuse them each time. You don't have to build new art, but you can add to the art every time. And then it gets more and more sophisticated and interesting as you go.
Yeah. And I think that starting simple is such a key thing. And quite a lot of the time, we like to overcomplicate things. So it's just, you start and you think it's got to be like this amazing experience where, you are on par with, something you would see in the cinema. And it's like, no, you've got to start simple and actually build it up to something that is yours and is unique. Because quite often when we start, we actually don't know where we want to get to. So that journey is actually so important in the process of creation.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. Let me ask one more question before we move on to any Q&A. Mike and Izabela, what resources, including your own music radio creative channel, do you guys find useful for new creators and podcasters who are looking to expand their offerings? Or even maybe, what do you look to when you need an answer that you don't have?
Oh, that's a good one. Go on, Mike.
I stumped.
I know you are doing lots of really good things.
Like, as has already been said by Erica and Theresa, I look at YouTube. So I'll watch creators that inspire me, like Peter McKinnon and people like that, So I get inspiration from other creators and other podcasters who are doing podcasting really well on YouTube. So, there's a lot out there at the moment. I recently started getting into the Diary of a CEO, which is actually a podcast that comes out of London, and it's really well produced. So if you get the chance to check that out, that's kind of very high standard YouTube sort of video first, but then created into audio. So
yeah, that's really
Fantastic.
Good. Go on. Sorry.
Did you have something else, Izabela?
No, it's good.
Great. Well, let's take a quick step over and see what questions we have from the audience. Erica, this first one may be something you can help me with. The question is, are there issues with AIF or WAV files for the compute, mouth or lip sync or head movements? I know WAV files work fine. I'm not, AIF's okay, the Apple format?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good to go.
Is there any limitations? MP3 files, I assume, work okay. Just old-timey
No
voicemail
limitations.
system?
If you find a limitation, let us know, but you should be good to go.
Fantastic. Another question comes in. To what extent can the software affect the hardware in order to get high quality and professional sound? Certainly, I can talk to some of this. So with applications like Audition or even the recording in Premiere Pro, the software does nothing to the incoming audio stream. So we'll capture whatever your sound device is giving us. So at the default, you can be pretty assured that the audio coming from through your audio device is going to be exactly how it came out. Coming into the application is exactly how it came out of the audio interface. However, there's certainly that possibility that slow hard drives or overtaxed CPUs with too many other applications running can start to affect that stream as it comes in from the audio interface to the software. And potentially that results in what's called dropped samples. Some of that audio recording is either silent, it just comes in as zeros because there wasn't enough data there, or it just gets thrown away and you jump from the first part of a word to the second part of a word because there was no data that came in the middle. And so all of the applications have the ability to increase what's called the buffer size or the latency in the application audio settings. And that the higher value gives the computer just a little bit more time to respond and to carry that data back and forth, and minimize that possibility of losing audio data. Did that make sense? Was that true, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm always messing with buffer sizes. It's the one thing, isn't it? Whenever you get a drop sample or, glitching or something, it's check the buffer size.
Still waiting on some other questions. If you have anything, please share them in the chats, and our man on the street, Kevin, will post those to me here. I did have a question around Mogerts and the Adobe Stock Marketplace. Are all the Mogert? I know with like photos and some videos, users can upload their own and either give away or sell their own content. Is that the case with Mogerts?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you rephrase that?
Can users who create their own motion graphic templates upload those to the stock marketplace to resell?
I see. So yeah, it's a closed artist program, so it's invite only. So they would need to email motion@adobe.com, and we would evaluate and see if they could be part of our program. But yeah, like all of our artists, we have a small cadre of artists, maybe like 50 that we work with, on a weekly basis. And they're from all over the world.
Fantastic.
And we should maybe mention, Durin, that today Adobe Stock doesn't support the character animator file format .puppets. So we have lots of places, like we have our own website, which they'll post in the chat, where you can download puppets. But there's lots of third parties that are creating puppets, and they have websites too. And we've created a page for them, so you can find puppets there. And someday, we hope in the future that Stock will support the .puppet file format. But you might find PSD files that are actually puppets in Stock. So they all start as Photoshop or Illustrator files before they become a puppet and character animator. So you could look there as well for Photoshop files that are character animator puppets.
Fantastic. I'm still waiting on any other questions to come in, but I do think there was a question asking about examples of animated podcasts, some of what we're seeing. Certainly you mentioned the Johnny Vaughn show. I mentioned in our conversation earlier, one of the first animated podcasts that I saw and really enjoyed was the Ricky Gervais show. Sorry, I've been talking for 38 minutes now and it's starting to show in my lips. But then, there's a lot of others that have reached out to us to share what they're building or just that we've discovered on our own. Podcasts like My Favorite Murder Animated, The Two Dumb Babies, The Composers. There's a lot of really interesting ways that people are taking and repurposing that audio content to either reach new audiences or promote their brand and their content on their preferred platforms and outlets. Is there anything else that maybe we can just quickly share? One of our favorite things that are
next. speech to text on Premiere Pro.
Speech to text in Premiere Pro, right? That's a big deal for being able to bring in those captions and right over the top of whatever else you're producing. I know that transcription's always been a important part of podcasting, and not just the editing process, but making them accessible to hard of hearing. Or, the reality is Facebook mutes videos. A lot of the platforms mute the sound on these videos. So, you can be flashy, but people aren't going to know what you're talking about unless you help,
I've heard a stat somewhere that majority of people actually will watch the videos on Facebook without sound. So those captions are absolutely essential. So yeah, that's game changing for sure.
And if you happen to be out there using speech to text in Premiere, and if you're interested, there is a public beta feature in Character Animator called transcript-based lip sync. You can take that transcript from Premiere, bring it into Character Animator, and use it to get even more accurate lip sync in character. So you can try that if you want to play around a little bit.
That's wild. There's a couple of public beta features in Character Animator right now, right?
It's true. I was dying to figure out how to jump in, but thank you. So somebody in the chat mentioned how important it is to have unique content. And so I know some of you might be like, oh, I don't want to use a template pub because it's not mine or it's not unique, but maybe you don't have Photoshop or Illustrator skills, or it takes a lot of time to create that Photoshop or Illustrator puppet. There is a public beta feature called Puppet Maker. This allows you to create or to pick different styles and then make it unique to you. So you can pick a different hairstyle, different hair color, different outfits, different skin color, eye color. There may be different accessories or different backgrounds. And literally, right inside of Character Animator, you can create your own unique puppet without having any of the dealing with Photoshop or Illustrator or anything like that. So you should definitely check that out. The public beta, lots of fun things in it. The other thing you can do with public beta version of Character is to try body tracking. So we talked about automatic lip sync, and you can use your web microphone to do some head movement. But now with body tracking, you can do something basic like wave your hands, or you can back all the way up and animate your whole body just by moving. Just move your body and it'll start animating.
That's awesome. As everybody's certainly caught from my intro video, I'm a hand talker. So that's going to come in very, very handy. Oh, I didn't even mean to make that joke.
That was awesome.
Well, that's great. We don't have any more questions coming in from the chat rooms. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, thank you guys, all of you for coming on today, sharing your knowledge and your experience. Thank you everybody at watching these streams online. I hope you learned as much as I did about how accessible it can be to really expand your reach and grow your audience by leveraging video and animation for your podcasts. And again, please join myself and Mike Russell again this Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time for our follow-up stream, Podcasting for All the Platforms Part 2, where we're going to dive into more of the audio workflows that are available in Premiere Pro and Audition. And Mike and I will get really hands-on with demos that are focused on really getting great recordings, cleaning up problems, mixing and mastering audio, and sharing some of the unique magic audio tools that are only found in Adobe applications. So thank you very much. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you guys on Friday. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.